There we go.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Okay, good morning. Welcome to Canada Reads American Style. We are here to celebrate day four, the final day of Canada Reads 2026, in which we have uh, crowned a champion. So I'm Tara. I'm here with Rebecca, my partner. Hello, Rebecca. And we have a
Morning.
special guest, Jolene of Bookworm Adventure Girl. Hello, Jolene.
Hello, it's wonderful to be with you again.
No, it's
Yeah,
awesome to have you back.
yeah. You know what? We've been doing this for a long time, and Jolene has been our one consistent friend who's been through everything with us from the very beginning when Shauna and I started this. So we are really happy to have Jolene back again.
Yeah.
Uh, it's my pleasure. Like I said just before we started, it's our annual check-in, and I'm excited to talk about books in
Good.
Canada Reads.
How do we want to start? So we haven't yet announced who the winner is, but we know who the winner was. But it's our first time hearing from you, Jolene. Do you want to how do we want to start? We want to start with the winner, or do we want Jolene's take on the week as a whole?
I think it's good to just announce it since, spoiler alert, if you have not yet watched the ending, of course, do not watch our program. Like, click out now. We'll give you a chance to just click out, do it. But otherwise, yes, we're going to let Jolene announce the winner since she
Yes, yes.
predicted, which blows my mind. So, and then Jolene, you can kind of just talk about, a little bit of this week or today or whatever. We'll just kind of jump in and get started.
Sure. Okay, well, hopefully no spoilers, everybody. So this is your last chance. Um, I will start by saying that today was no surprise to me in how it was going to go down. I was happy to see that the two books that I thought would make it to the last day did make it to the last day. I had predicted through some criteria that I made up that Terry Punchout could win this.
Yeah.
But The Cure for Drowning is the winner of Canada Reads 2026. I'm totally fine with that.
Yep.
It was the book that I said if someone were to have asked me, Jolene, which one would you pick? That's probably the book I would have picked. But I would have been happy with either one. And really, all five books do win. I know that sounds like cliche. We probably say it every year, but Canada Reads being on the long list, but definitely being on the short list and making it to like the show and having your book defended brings so much attention to Canadian literature, to different kinds of books. So it's really amazing. And I know I talked about this before on my channel, and then they talked about it today, and I'm really glad that they did. That the searching for Terry Punchout sold 20 copies last year. And then all of a sudden, every publisher or every bookstore was like, we're waiting for the publishers to send these books. And they just went like crazy. So, like, how exciting is that? And both were debut novels. Like it's just so wonderful to see that, Canadian writers are getting some attention. So that was really good.
Yeah. And I will say too that I could not get a copy of Terry Punch Out in Michigan. I couldn't even
Yeah.
get it. And so that is when I had said it on a podcast. And I think it was Tyler Hellard's mom or something, I guess, heard our podcast and told him. And then he reached out and sent me
Really.
a digital arc. So I'm
Oh,
so
nice.
thankful to him because otherwise I would have had to wait a really long time if I even could get a copy. I would have had to probably go to Sarnia to get it, which I'm happy to do that too. But yeah, I'm thankful for that. But I love when Steve told that story because I knew that the trucks got held up. But I love that visual of like east and west trying to get out and there's a snowstorm. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
So
a
you
very
want
Canadian story.
It's very it's a very Canadian story, which is what, so many, and from an independent press, like it just has all the Canadian goodies. So
Yeah.
sorry, I have both of my dogs here and they're starting to get a little antsy. So yeah, I think today was in a way some of the best debating. Because overall I found the debates to be a little not debating. I
Yeah.
was a little frustrated by that. Um, but yeah, today I was like, okay, especially when Tegan said, we can talk about your book for the whole time. I thought, take it, go with that, Steve, take it and really like talk about the book. So it was good to
Yeah.
see some debates today.
Yeah. The only thing I just find I still just don't quite didn't I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. The fact that there was there were no criticisms whatsoever of The Cure for Drowning except of the magic realism thing. And I'm transparent. I read the book. I didn't really care for it. It just wasn't my book. But I could argue some things that I didn't care for, but
Yeah.
no one touched them. And I thought that's what was frustrating. So for me today, I felt like it was all about Terry Punchout and the flaws in that book. And full transparency, I would have loved to have seen it win because I really actually
Yeah.
loved that book. But uh, I didn't feel like there was that much debate because it was all focused on his book and still no criticism at all except for the magic realism part of Cure for Drowning. So, yeah.
It was, but it was, I think of the 4 days, it was my favorite day. Even though I love the drama of the first, it's so exciting and you get all caught up in it. This to me was my favorite day because one, I don't think I'm alone in that I have a crush on both Steve and Tegan right now. Like, and I don't think I'm alone that there's like, they are amazing. And but I actually love the book talk that they had today, even if it was still heavily balanced towards Terry Punchout. I still love that it was like real book talk today.
Okay, that, yes, I'll agree on that. Yes, it was more
Yeah.
insightful information kind of discussion that we had. I just wish that the Cure for Drowning had that same level of analysis, and it just
Yeah.
didn't happen all week because it really did completely fly under the radar because it had no votes against it, right? So yeah, it really did kind of fly under the radar, but yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what bugged me about the debates overall was when, Ali would ask, what's the best thing about a book? First of all, pick your own book when they ask that. Don't say anything about another book. And I'm not really competitive. I don't know. I've been thinking about this. What is it about Canada Reads that makes me go all competitive and be like, which I'm not in anything else that I can think of. Not in the same way anyway. And so yeah, I'm like, pick your own book. But when they say what is the worst and or what are some critiques, pick all the other books and tear them
Yeah.
apart. Like I really wanted to see it. And people were they were too nice. They were so nice. And I'm like, this is not the time to be nice. Like
Yeah.
this is the time to pick it apart. And nobody really did that with The Cure for Drowning, other than like you're saying, the magical realism. And there were
Yeah.
people on like comments on my videos and stuff who were saying, this is what I don't like about this book, or this, here's the problem that I had. And I thought, oh, check out the social media. You'll find lots of stuff there, you guys. Like, if you're not sure what it is, that's what
Yeah.
it is. Look at what people are saying. So yeah, I think there's a few other things that could have been said about The Cure for Drowning as well. And I know like Tyler had said a lot of characters, and and then I know his wife kind of made fun of him for that, but that could actually be a really good thing if he went a little deeper into it. There were too many characters, whereas his, you could really go in depth with this one relation or a couple of relationships, and it was more small. Like he could have
Yeah.
gone a little bit further into it. There was somebody, and forgive me because I don't remember who it was that did make this comment, but something about how the use of they them and the understanding and some acceptance around Kit would like how would that have happened back then? Like it seemed to
Oh,
this
yeah.
person that it was taking this time and putting it in that time, and instead of kind of showing it the other way around, like this is what it was like, this was the struggle. Maybe there was acceptance, maybe people, but would they have said they them, would they have done certain things? So I don't know. But today they did have some pronoun conversation, which I thought was
Yeah.
really, really good. But I
Good.
thought that could have been brought up. Like, so there was a few things that I thought people have pointed out that would have been interesting to at least say, what do you think about this?
Yeah.
And then
Uh,
remind me, because was t Searching for Terry Punchout, was that set in the 80s? Or am I thinking of a different book? Was that current day? I feel like it
It
was an,
was it was kind of current. I don't think it was like
okay,
well, it was written in 2018, right? So I think it was around that time. It had
okay,
this feeling
okay,
of being a little bit earlier, I think, but I don't think it was as late that far in the past.
Yeah,
But I
no.
don't think there was a
okay.
specific year, right?
I might be
Yeah.
thinking
Right.
of another book then. Because my only thing when they were talking about the toxic masculinity and how, how things have changed, I'm like, okay, I don't know where you live, but not where I live. I mean, I live in a country where half the people voted for, in my opinion, what was, how things were. So I
Mhm.
feel like that, to me, just that argument just didn't fly. And they really kind of kept hitting that point. And I agree that people are better, but I can look in within my own circle of family and friends, and I still see people my age and younger saying how their dads, they don't connect with their dads, da, da, da. So I feel like that's a very, I thought it was, anyway, I thought it was a really um, accurate portrayal of kind of those relationships. But
Yeah. I actually think Steve made a great point for his book without meaning to, because he cried.
oh,
At one point when his family, when they showed the family, and I had my earbuds on because my husband's working in the other room, and they showed, and he was the last one that they showed family, and I'm like, the hockey guy just cried. I'm like, the hockey guy just cried. Beautiful moment. So I think like even now he can't, like, how can he use that if he goes like, but why worry about toxic masculinity? I just cried. He can't
yeah, yeah,
obviously
yeah,
use it because then it looks like
yeah,
performative. But I'm like, there you go. I'm like, that's a beautiful moment that he kind of showed actually the growth, and that you can read a book about toxic masculinity and doesn't mean that you exude toxic masculinity.
right.
But
And
I
I,
just
And
think
I,
Tegan came prepared. Like she came prepared with like these are the strong points for my book, and she came prepared with another list of things against Terry Punchout. And I don't know if Steve came prepared for his book,
good
but
point.
I don't know if he had a list going for against the cure for drowning.
yeah, that's a really good point. Just to go back to the toxic masculinity thing,
Mhm.
I think I like when Tyler said, I think he said it even a couple of times. I used to be this guy, but
Yeah.
he's changed. Like, so, he's like, I can see myself in him, but I can see how I've tried to change. And he thinks that the character is trying to change. And I agree. Maybe not doing a great job at changing and struggling through it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
But I think that that's probably pretty realistic that when you go from, being toxic, how do you become a better person? And I also think that he made another good point that a lot of that conversation is happening around sports in general, but of course in hockey for sure, and in
Yeah.
Canada in hockey for sure. So I think that that's where, I mean, we see it in a lot of different things, but we definitely see it in sports. And so that was a good, I thought, good argument for his book and why it is important for all Canada to read it. But I do think you're right about the debating part, that he did come, I think, more prepared today and was
yeah,
strong today in some points that he made about his book, but didn't have the, like, you know, take out the digs in the other book. Like, you got to be ready to do that. But I don't think that that happened a lot in the debates for the whole week. I think
yeah,
Elamaya started. I think if she was in it longer, we would have seen more of it from her.
yeah,
The one time, I think, was it day one or day two, where her and Morgan were kind of debating back and forth, and she finally, she said, "Well, I think that's a surface level argument," and I was like, "Yes, here we
Yeah.
go. We're gonna get into it."
Yeah.
And then it kind of did it, So I was like, there would have been some good things, and I think if Josh's book had stayed in, we would have seen maybe some more from him too. Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of. It was like, I'll just be nice and let me tell you everything I love about your book, and then I'll tell you. And I'm like, mm-mm-mm.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And that's a
Ali
really good.
tried to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Rebecca.
No, no, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, whenever we would see that happening, you could see Ali trying to steer them away from loving everything and to try and be more critical.
Yeah.
They would always steer themselves back. They were very good at that.
Yes,
Yeah.
because sometimes they just wouldn't even answer the question he asked,
Yeah.
which drives
Hey,
me
that's
crazy. Which
one of
drives
my
me crazy.
issues. I'm a literal person. So if somebody asks me a question, I'm going to answer the question you asked me. I'm going to add a lot more, let's face it. But I am still going to answer the question that you asked me. And so often they didn't. And even today, that one, what was Tara, what was the first question? Or what, the one about
Yeah.
why
Why
should you
should
vote?
they vote? yeah, why should they vote against? And Ali was very specific, like, let's go with why should they vote against the cure for drowning?
Right.
And essentially, none of them
No one.
answered it.
So I don't know if it's rewording that question so that it doesn't feel as, I guess, mean-spirited, I don't know, but
Yeah.
I think I think that's the thing they have to tell the defenders up front is that you're going to be asked uncomfortable questions at times and you should have an answer for it. You really need to
Yeah.
think it through
Yes.
because when you get to day 3 and 4, you've got to be able to not just keep repeating the same talking points. You've got to be able to get down on the mud a little bit and just, say
Yeah.
those difficult things.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
everybody understands that, nobody's bashing any of the books because they are all wonderful books, but it is still a competition and we do want to see, you know,
Debate.
competitiveness.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I would have loved to see a lot more debate at this time.
Yeah.
It's not like yesterday, especially. But anyway, yesterday
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like pulling
Yesterday
out my
was,
hair.
yesterday
Yeah.
was, yeah. This one was better because I think they were only down
Yes.
to the two books kind of thing, right? But yeah, I even had for that first question, Ali specifically went to Steve and said, why should the rest of them vote against Cure for Drowning? And he spoke about his own book. He didn't even say anything about the Cure for Drowning. He talked about Terry Punchout, which is like, well, that's not the question,
And I
you
bet he
know?
regrets that now because the focus was 100% on his book. And he should have said something because he could have said something that could have triggered the others to agree
Yes.
with him. And
Yeah.
so it's like, Steve, you missed that opportunity to just kind of go for
Yeah.
the throat a little bit. Yeah.
He did because Tegan did when she was asked
Oh,
about
yeah.
Terry Punchout, she's like, here we go. So she
Yeah.
took the opportunity.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I feel
Can I
like in some
mention? No, go. You go, Jolene.
I was just gonna say, I feel like in some ways it was almost in everybody's head that the cure for drowning was going to win on the first day. And so
Yeah.
they didn't really take the time to go at it. And so they just kind of let it play out. Now I'm making that up. That's just how I feel. I don't know that for sure. But I feel like everybody was like, well, obviously that's the one that's gonna win. Because they would be like, well, obviously this one. And I'm like, is it obvious? It shouldn't be obvious. You
Yeah.
should be able to fight for whatever it is. And so I feel like they all just was like, that's how it's gonna be. And so we're just going to let this play out instead of really. And even Tegan yesterday was like, thanks, you all made this very easy for me. You're doing my job for me. Thank you so much for being so kind to my book. She said something about that today. And I thought she's absolutely right. They
Yeah.
all just kind of gave it to her.
Mhm.
And how wonderful. It's a great book. Glad it
Yeah.
won. But she should have had to fight for it a little bit more, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
That's
I
the
will say
book.
one of the comments I started to write down and I just said, Tegan wasn't even a very effective debater. Like from day one, she was like kind of not really in the flow. She got definitely really showed her chops today, I think, and was
Mhm.
doing better yesterday. But I thought she really was able to kind of skate without having to put forth a really hard, compelling argument that kind of played out. And so I think you're right, Jolene. I think you're right. I think it was that people really thought, because everywhere you
Yeah.
went, that's what everybody was talking about was that book. And I think you're right. They kind of just like stepped aside and let it walk down the aisle kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think so.
They should have day one. They should have gone for it on day one. At least like start the conversation, even if you weren't going to vote it out on day one, at least kind of get it out there that there are weaknesses to the book. But they
Yeah.
didn't even do that on day one. They just went right for foe. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
never going to get over
Um,
that.
I know. I know. I did love their opening statements. I thought they did a great job with their opening statements, but my favorite part was Tegan's F-bomb. Like when she
I don't.
did you miss the F-bomb?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So right at the end, she was almost well, she finished. And then there was she had a little extra time. So there was a pause. And that's when Ali did the bell. And then she was like, and barn cats, because I think she wanted to carry that joke through the whole. And she was like, and barn cats, fuck. Like you could, she covered her.
Oh,
Oh,
I
I
Did
didn't
missed,
like the
hear
I
it.
little
missed
F
that part.
bomb. I love that part. I'm like, yeah, F bomb on live TV. I don't know why that. So I thought it was just, I think the two of them set the tone right from the beginning for the day that it was just going to be like a fun but good book, like a fun book talk, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
One of the
Um,
things when I went to the event with Tyler and Steve and Joss and oh, Morgan.
Okay.
One of the things that Tyler, no, was it? No, it was, yeah. Tyler said, he goes, sometimes people are giving him like backhanded compliments where they'll say, wow, I wasn't expecting to love this book, but like I really did. And then, and somebody in the audience, when they got up to ask the question, that's what they said. And then today, Ella Maya said, I wasn't expecting to love this book, and you, and I do. And I thought, oh no, we're continuing this thing. But like there was I think some fun camaraderie around the table, and that I think they did get along, which was nice. I'm
Yeah.
not
yeah.
sure that Morgan and Ella Maya got along, um, but other than that, I think there was some tension there, I should say. But I think
Yeah.
all in all, like it was pretty good, and I think Steve was the perfect person um, to defend his book, because he brought the humor and he brought some levity to the debates, which was good, and especially today. I think it came out today for sure.
Yeah.
Well, did you notice that Morgan threw that thing in there when she talked about what the week looked like? She said, and then she just went, except day two. And then she just kind of kept going. And I was like, oh, okay, that was your way to kind of give a little dig back for what
Yeah.
happened. That was her first
Yeah.
attempt to put it back on her. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
But
know
I
if
will,
anybody else. Sorry, go ahead.
no, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I don't know if anybody else noticed. It was so blatant to me. But so I guess it would have been day 3. So Morgan's, yeah, a minor course had already been voted out. And Ella Maya was kind of just saying like that there's going to be difficult conversations and some people might feel uncomfortable. And one of the things that she said, which I think was really good, like it was all towards books and not towards people. I do think that that's very important, that
Yeah.
they're not, and why I think they're so careful and always trying to give the love first. It's like people shouldn't be taking it personally unless you're saying it personally, but it
Yeah.
should be about the books.
Yeah.
And when she was talking, at one point, they went to Morgan, and Morgan side-eyed her so badly, and then she took a drink. And I thought, oh, the tension in that moment, and the fact that
Yeah.
they caught it and left
Yeah.
it in. I mean, I know
Yeah.
it's live TV at the time. I was like, oh my gosh. I thought if a look could kill, that would have been it right there.
I know. I said that yesterday to Tara. I said when she lifted up that mug, and I was like, ooh, ooh, that
Yeah.
Yeah.
was, yeah, that was a scorcher.
Yes.
Yeah. There was tension. I felt a little less today, but you
Yeah.
also didn't feel like there was like a warmth there either between the two of them, right? Because they sit side by
No.
side, so you can kind
Yeah.
of like you can sense. And I didn't feel like there was a lot of like moving to the side to make eye contact or anything like that. It was
Right.
on more. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And can I, since we haven't mentioned it, which to me was the best moment
Mhm.
of the entire show today, was the hockey gloves.
Okay.
I swear to God, I laughed so hard. Like, how brilliant was that? And he said he
Yeah.
got there first and nobody
Yeah.
knew he had those
Yeah.
gloves. I thought that was, like I said, if nothing else, I love Steve Dangleglid. I think he is hilarious. I told Terry yesterday I want to watch some of his stuff because I don't even know who he is really. But what a lovely guy and so freaking funny. And I
Yeah.
think he that I think we needed the laughs when he put those laughs in there for us too.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. And I love it. Like even Ali was surprised and he was like, how have we been sitting here for 10 minutes and we didn't know he was wearing those gloves? Yeah, I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah. I underestimated him before the debates started. I think he did a good job. He did a good
Yeah.
job representing the book and yeah. He added to the table. Even when he wasn't debating his book, he still added to the whole table kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I have to say, okay, so I will say this. I have to apologize to both Steve and Josh because in the very beginning, like when we first talked about it back in January, and I don't know who these people are, and I just the little bit of information I had, I said, well, I don't know that they're going to be that strong, and I think both of them, everybody did a pretty solid job with presenting their books. I
Yeah.
do. I mean, they're still too nice. Everybody was just too like low key nice, but I still think everybody did overall a good job.
Yeah.
I think the
Jolene, you
right
look like
people.
you want to say something.
Well, I don't think that they defended their books all that. Like, I don't think that everybody, but not everybody had the opportunity either. Like I said, I think Josh would have. I think we
Yeah,
would have seen more from him.
yeah.
I thought that Morgan was the least effective in defending her book, but it's also maybe the type of book that she chose. Not the type, I don't mean by genre. I mean what it was like. There wasn't a whole lot of meat there, I didn't think, and she knew that. And I'm
Hmm.
sorry, sorry, I have about 18,000 things going through my mind right now.
No,
Oh, go
put them
for it.
all out
So
there.
I
Yep, yep.
apologize. Um, yeah, like so I was thinking about that with the whole romance thing. And now I really, really enjoyed that book. But I like romance books for my palate cleansers in between books that make me think and really like I have to take a deep dive. They might take a little bit more effort, like brain power. I absolutely loved the book. I thought for a debut, it was fantastic. The fact that she chose the book, knowing, and she said this a couple of times, I like a challenge. So I knew that picking a romance would put me, I knew that it wasn't set in Canada. I knew all of these things. So part of me is like, if I knew I was picking a book for Canada Reads, I would want to pick a book. Again, I don't know where the competitiveness is coming from, but I would want to pick a book that I knew I could solidly win with
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean? Like as much as I could.
Yeah.
Whether I won or not, okay, fine. But that I thought I can really defend this book and I can see all the flaws, but I can defend it regardless. And so, she made it to day three. I do think some of that was strategy. I
Mhm.
think that they kept it around because it was easier to vote off. And it was easier to go against it later, like later on. Um, so I think that that was strategy, not so much that people wanted to keep romance in, which is,
Yeah.
but still, I mean, she made it to day three. And yeah, I mean, there's just a lot going on in my head about it, but I don't even remember why I started and where I was going with this. But
Oh,
yeah.
because I said, I thought everybody did a good job defending, and you said she was
Oh,
perhaps least
yes.
effective. Yeah.
Yeah. And I found hers to be the least effective. Like she just kept saying the same stuff and it felt very immature to me.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And that was hard to watch sometimes because I thought there could be some arguments there. And she did have some, but it just wasn't enough for me. So I found that to be the weakest. And so yeah, so some of the like again, the debating, I think a lot of times there was no debate.
Yeah.
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 Okay, so I have a question for you because I want this answer so much because then I totally would read the book. But is there then because you do read romances, as you say, for your palate cleansers, is there a
Yeah.
romance that you think could withstand truly like the Canada Reads machine? Could it start and get all the way to the end? And that's something that's you're able to argue and debate for the whole 4 days.
I'm sure there is something out there. I'm not a big romance reader.
Okay.
So I kind of have a few favorites. Like I started that a few years ago where I was like, I don't read any romance. I'm going to try it this year.
Hmm.
And I ended up, there were some that I absolutely did not like. I knew I didn't like the trope. I didn't like the way it was written. Wasn't realistic. A lot of it isn't realistic because it's, you kind of know you're going to get the happy ending and, you know, but
Yeah.
sometimes that's nice. Like just because I do read a lot of heavy books. So sometimes it's nice to just know I can just go into a book and read it. So I like that for it. And I like the escapism that she talked about. I liked those things. So I'm sure that there are like what was it last year? Was it last year or the year before? Meet Me at the Lake was
I
Canada Reads.
yeah.
And it like at least it was placed in Canada. It had the
Mhm.
cottage life, which is totally a huge
Oh, that's nice.
Canadian thing. Like it did have some things and it did have a deeper story to it. So I think if I were to compare the two for Canada Reads, that one would win out over this one. So I'm sure that there is.
Yeah.
Can I think of
Yeah.
one off the top of my head? I don't read enough to be able to do that, enough
Mhm.
romance to do that, enough Canadian romance to do that.
Yeah.
Um, so I do think that there is a place for a book like that. I just think maybe that wasn't it. Like I forgot that the main character was even Canadian. I forgot like when she started talking about that, I was like, oh yeah, she was Canadian, went to the States. But that wasn't that wasn't the point,
Yeah.
because I didn't, her argument was, and Josh also helped her with this, was, you know, that is a lot of Canadian stories, is that they have to go to the US if they want to continue doing, work in film or writers or different things. And that's absolutely true. But that wasn't the storyline. Like that's not one of her struggles. It was like, this is just where I am. My struggle is that I have to figure out how I'm going to live in this place for 4 weeks so that I can get this $6 million place. And so that's where it gets a little bit like, oh, is that really what this is about?
Yeah.
So yeah, that wasn't the struggle. She did have other struggles, and the relationship, had its stuff, but yeah, I didn't really feel like a Canadian struggle was there. And even like the fact that she was Filipina, like I'm like, oh yeah, it wasn't part of the story. Like it wasn't a main part of the story. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a tough one to she did say, and I'm so glad she did not say this on Canada Reads. She did say at the event that I attended, she said, "This is the best book I've ever read." And I
She
went,
did. She did say
yeah,
that at the thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I
I
thought when
feel
she
like
said,
she said, oh, no, go ahead, Jolene. Sorry.
when she said it at the event, I thought, please don't say that on Canada Reads, because she would have been torn apart on social media for that. I think. I
Yeah.
think like as a person who reads books for a living, and she's read, I think she said she's read, at that time she had read 20 some books, and now she's read 30 some books. Like if you're a reader and that's your great book, if for a certain time and place, but best book you've ever read, I don't know. I can think of a few others that might
Yeah.
be a little
I
bit
feel
higher.
like she did say that this was the best book she's read this year, like for
Oh,
2026.
okay. Yeah.
Oh, she
And
did.
she had said something, she reads a lot of thrillers too, I think she said. This was when, this might have been on day one when they were going for faux. So she had
Yeah.
said that she reads a lot of thrillers. I don't read a lot of thrillers, but I read them same as romance as a palate cleanser.
Yes.
And I'm always intrigued by the thriller story, like I want to know what's going to happen. And then you get to that end, and I always find the ending, usually, like 90% of the time, completely unsatisfied by the ending of a thriller. And for her to, she said that she reads a lot of thrillers, and she always loves the endings, but she found the ending of Faux unsatisfying. And I'm like, I'm like, again, I can't critique her, but I can say that obviously we have differing opinions, and I'm like, maybe what we want from a thriller is different,
Mhm.
So then, yeah, I again, it's just different. Maybe it's an age thing too, right?
Maybe,
30 extra
maybe.
years of reading books. I don't know. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
I
didn't
just felt some of
question
her
her
stuff
reading.
weak. Yeah.
Yeah,
Some of it was weak.
yeah. Um, I couldn't help but I think it was during day two. But part of what I like about Canada Reads is that it does put a spotlight on lesser known books so that more people read books that haven't been read. But I could not help having a few moments of going, kind of wish Heated Rivalry was here. Because I haven't read the book, but I've watched the series and I flip and love it. And there is so much in the series that I'm like, I feel like to have that kind of romance there, you would have had a lot of like meat to really discuss for a romance beyond the
Okay.
feel good, happy ending kind of thing. Plus, you would have had but I want searching for Terry Punch Out and Heated Rivalry against each other. I thought like having the
Oh,
two hockey stories against each other would have been really fun. Like I couldn't, but Heated Rivalry does not need Canada Reads to help sell it
Do you know
at
if
all.
the book is Heated Rivalry, the book, is it a standalone like one book? Because I know the TV show is a series. So is the book also
It is,
a series?
part of the
it's a series of several books.
Mm,
But I think Heated Rivalry is what season one of Heated Rivalry was, the show.
okay.
But one of the episodes, one of the storylines in the show, I think, is from another book in the series, maybe called Game Changer. So I think they brought in like a couple of the books into
Okay.
the series.
And is it considered, I know this is my, because I know of it, but I haven't read it. But is it considered a romance? Is it a hockey? Is it a sports? Like how is it classified really?
Hockey
Like a
romance.
hockey
Hockey
romance. Okay.
romance. Yeah.
Okay. So well then Morgan could have picked Heated
I know.
Rivalry. If she
Yeah.
wanted to get a no, but if she wanted to get a romance maybe
Yeah,
further than although she did make it to day three, so I guess
She
yeah,
did. She made, yeah.
she did. But
Yeah.
I also still think I agree with you, Jolene, that it was strategic. So
I think so.
Yeah.
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 I think so.
Anyway.
Which is fine. I mean, we all talked about the book, so it's great, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. And Joss Richard has another book coming out this year, so I'm excited. I'm actually excited to read it. I want to. I was really impressed by Joss Richard at the event. She was very interesting, and she was a lot of fun. Their banter back and forth was really great. So yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I had something in my head and now it's gone. Oh, Jolene, I know.
Okay.
So I watched your video. So like the day before
Yes.
Candle Read started, you did your prediction video and you
Yeah.
have criteria. Do you want to go through your criteria for us? Because that was super, we both found it really interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I started thinking about like all these people have different ideas and even the questions that they bring up in Canada Reads. Like the one question yesterday was about happiness. And I'm like, is that a criteria for like where are those questions coming from? And I think we all have our own criteria of what we're looking for in a book. So if your criteria is, it should be an enjoyable book, great. But why Canada Reads, like why bring it to Canada Reads? And to me, there should be some particular things. So because Canada Reads isn't just here's the most popular 10 books of the last years, and now, like it's
Yeah.
here are some, 15 suggestions. A long list is 15 books. Here's 15 suggestions or potential books that are going to be shortlisted and defended. And they range from many different years, they range from many different genres, so I'm thinking like when I look at that list and when other people look at that list, how are we deciding what we actually think should be on Canada Reads? And so when I was thinking about this, I thought, enjoyability is part of it, but I actually think it's like the last part because you always
Mhm.
want the book to be enjoyable because you want other people to read it. And because to me, the biggest criteria or only criteria on Canada Reads is that it's um, a book that all of Canada should read. To me, it needs to have a large audience. So that's, I think, I don't remember with them in order. I made them up and I talked about it. So,
I have them written down
um,
here.
oh wow. Okay, so you can tell me if I'm right or if wrong or get them
Yeah.
correctly. So
Well,
so
here
the
it is.
large audience would be, as long as you have a broad audience. And then the second thing is that to me, there should be something about Canada. Like, even if it's not set in Canada, like, I get the whole Canadians are everywhere and you want that experience. But to me, there should be something that about Canada. Um, and so, other than just it was a Canadian author, right? So, there should be something else. And then the third thing that I think it was is that there should be something new, maybe not new, but something about can lit that is Canadian. So I talked about Margaret Atwood's book that came out like in the early
Mm.
70s called Survival, and it was looking at what makes Canadian literature different than any other literature. And she specifically looked at, I think it was English literature and American literature and then Canadian literature. And what were those themes that come up in Canadian literature? Because you can say any book that's written by a Canadian author is Canadian literature. But she's saying, what are the particular things and the themes? And I think that that's not, they don't have to be those themes that she came up with in the 70s, but what are the new things that we need to be looking at? And I think it came up the toxic masculinity in hockey, the LGBTQIA plus issues, like those all Indigenous issues. That's part of it, I think, in her book as well. But all of those things I think are newer and how we're looking at them now. So I think that that's there. And then the fourth is enjoyability. Like, is this just a book that I wanted to keep reading? Did I want to go back to this book and pick it up and continue? And part of that maybe also, and maybe the large audience piece, and I think this happens for Canada Read all the time, is that is it bringing a new audience? Is it bringing new people?
Mm.
So I don't think I talked about that so much on my video, but it came up in Canada Reads this year, where they were like, this is my first romance, this is my first historical fiction, this is the first book I've read in a long time, and it brought me back to reading, and now I have a TBR, and I think that those are important things. So yeah, so that was kind of my criteria, that when I was going through the shortlisted books, that I thought maybe that's why Terry Punch-Out might win, because it had all of those things, I thought. Now, I think The Cure for Drowning did too, but differently. And The Cure for Drowning to me is like that, it has the writing is to me a little bit better. And so
Mhm.
that's where, but for enjoyability, for likability, for maybe people who don't read as much or don't really like hockey or whatever the case might be. So that's why I thought those two books would make it to the end. I don't think that anybody else was looking at those criteria and put those two books at the end. That was just me making stuff up, because I got to come up with new stuff every year. Sometimes I
Yeah.
just do it on, this is who I want to win.
Yeah. No, it's funny because I had said too, when I had interviewed Tyler Hellard, and again, I don't know if I said it on the podcast or if I said it before or after, but I said to him, I think your book could be in the final two, like you could
Yeah.
make it to the final two. And he kind of laughed and everything. But the thing is, without even like when I wrote your list down of your criteria, I was like, oh my God, I think that's why I kind of was really thinking
Mm.
that Searching for Terry Punch-Out could make it, because all the things you just said, and it resonated with me, all of those factors. And especially I said the Canadian identity right now, obviously with the way the world is, that it's such a strong, the Canada strong ideal over the last year especially. So that's why I really thought it could get to the end. So I will at least say that's the only thing I got right, was that I had said that. I didn't actually necessarily expect it to happen, but that's the only. Otherwise, I was 0 for. I think I was 0 for 5 on everything else. It was crazy. Yeah, I did not have a good year. Good Canada Reads year.
That's
Well, didn't
okay.
I thought we both predicted The Cure for Drowning being one of the in the final two, didn't
Well,
we?
yeah, I mean, I think I more or less agreed, because at the time I hadn't even read it. You know what I mean? I kind of read
Mhm.
it later because I didn't get a copy of the book till later. But I kind of agreed, just from all the buzz that was going on about it. I really thought
Yeah.
that it was probably going to win. But I did. That's why I said I thought Terry Punch-Out could be in the final two. And so I guess we kind of nailed it on that. But I think that was an easy one, because I think everybody was really pre Canada Reads.
Yeah.
Everybody was saying that was kind of what was going to happen. So
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I do think that other people, and maybe other people, have different criteria that they bring to the table. I would, and I mean, I know you guys are going to be talking to Ali, and he's so lovely, and he does such a great job.
he does.
But
Yep.
and I think he did a great job this year too, trying to keep them on the on
Negative.
the same page on the topic. Whether or not they did or not was a different thing, but he did try, and he gave it a valiant effort.
Yeah.
Um, but I wonder, like, and I think maybe you have asked him this before, where like, where do those questions come from? Because to me, those questions should be, and some of them were, like, are we like they talked about home.
Mhm.
I love the theme of home,
Yeah.
and
Me
it
too.
wasn't all of the books this year, and it often is, like, it's a popular theme. Um, but like, where are the questions coming from, the books themselves, and so we're choosing that, or is it coming from some criteria that we think about Canada Reads, and that's the one book all of Canada should read? I don't, is that making sense? Like,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
me,
I'm
that's where
writing
the
it down.
criteria should be. Like, what are the themes that make this the one book that all of Canada should read? Or what are the themes in your book that make, what are the things, let's talk about the writing, let's talk about the characters. So they do a little bit, but I'm wondering what they think, like what Canada Reads thinks is the
Yeah.
criteria. And maybe they don't have anything set. I kind of like that it's broad, because it allows for conversation. I think if we put it too small, then we've narrowed down so many books, and we've made the conversation too narrow. So I do like that it's broad. The one book
Yeah.
that all of Canada should read. Well, that's hard to find a balance. And I think you made a comment. I don't know if it was Rebecca or Tara, but somebody made a comment about my comment on your video, saying, like, what, like, how do you find, how, basically it was, how do you find the balance of, like, a young person's going to read this? How do you get a 20-year-old
Hmm.
to enjoy the same book that a 60, 70-year-old's going to read?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And that's not an easy thing. So I think that there's, how do we find that one book? all of Canada should read, that's pretty hard. Which
Yeah.
is why I think again that all 5 books should the whole long list should be read, you know? There's
Yeah.
there's some there's
Oh,
some gems in the long list too, so
yeah.
yeah.
Um, oh my goodness. Oh yeah, the questions. I did not like the happiness question yesterday. That kind of seemed, that was
You.
just weird. That was
Yeah.
weird. It was weird. I
Yeah.
thought they did a better job today because the
Yeah.
home question I always like, but they pulled out, there was one question about family relationships or about relationships when
Mhm.
they used the emotional constipation
Oh,
and the excavating. And I was like, okay, I'm like, I like that question because it went back to a previous debates, and brought their own words back to them. But there
Mhm.
were some questions when I was like, that's the happiness one is just weird because how do you define happiness anyways? And I don't know. I
I
would
think
like to
it's
know who comes up with them too.
yeah, and it would be interesting because to me, I think you could almost tailor, and I don't know if they do it this way, if they have the questions all from the front, they know all 4 days what the questions will be.
There we go.
Because otherwise, as the books that are left still standing, then you look for those themes within those and then give them the opportunity to answer questions those kind of related ones. Because the happiness one completely came out of nowhere to me. I just thought
Yeah.
happiness, like I'm not sure
Yeah.
Yeah.
where, yeah, that was kind of an
But
odd
my
question.
understanding is they know with like that first 30-second or 60 seconds, they know that they're going to do that. And if there's a question in that, then they know what that is ahead of time, and they know that they're going to give the closing. That's why they have those papers prepared. Like sometimes you'll see them just read from their prepared 30
Yeah.
second thing
Yeah.
or 60-second thing, but they actually don't know the questions that are going to be asked.
Yeah, and I wasn't talking about the defenders knowing them. I was thinking of the people who write the
Oh,
questions.
oh
Like, in other
yes,
words, yeah, like that would be cool. Like if I don't know if they have all their questions prepared for all 4 days in advance, because
I
that's why I say the
understand.
happiness one came out of nowhere to me. Whereas if they know, hey, these are the 3 books still standing for tomorrow, let's look at the themes, because again, they don't have the questions in advance, the
Mhm.
defenders, but the people that write the questions could tailor it maybe a little more specific to the books that are still standing, so there could be a meatier discussion. uh yeah, anyway, that's what I was thinking more.
Yeah, no, that's a
Yeah.
really good point. And I guess that is my question. Is like,
Yeah,
yeah, how are these being prepared and how are they being put forward? Because some of them I just thought,
well,
hmm.
we will
Yeah.
try
Here's
to
that.
add, yeah, when we talk to Allie tomorrow, I think we're going to kind of throw that question in there because we had our
Okay.
questions for him, but we can, he's so good on his
Yeah.
feet. My God, you could
Yeah.
throw
He is.
anything at him. He doesn't even need the questions in advance, but I always do provide to people, but
Yeah.
we'll throw that one in there. Yeah, we'll ask him.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be great. I look forward to that. I always look forward to when you interview Ali because he's great.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Can let's Jolene, there was conversation about anti-intellectualism this
Yeah.
this week. What do you think? That's a big one. I'm throwing that big one at you, but I think it's
Um,
a legitimate concern. Like, not a concern, but like a issue that was brought up this week about what books are brought to Canada Reads.
yeah, and I think there's always talk about this, especially when like romance is part of it, and
Mhm.
which, and again, I have no problem with a romance book being part of
Yeah.
it, and it's a book and it's reading, it's wonderful. Um, I do think for Canada Reads specifically, um, or maybe not even specifically, maybe in all, book prizes and awards and things like that, books should be about, in this case, they should give us some meat. There should be some kind
Yeah.
of um something that challenges our intellect, makes us think differently, gives us a new perspective. I do think that that's part of reading. Like I understood what Morgan was saying when she said, I don't need a book to, or books don't have to, I don't have to learn anything. I don't have to. And that's true. That's why a lot of times
Yeah.
I choose romance as my palate cleanser. Doesn't mean I won't learn anything. You can learn something. But I think when we're really talking about books and debating books, that there needs to be something to talk about and there needs to be something to debate. And in order for that to be the case, there needs to be some hot topics, there needs to be some intellectual, stimulation.
Something. Hmm.
And so to be, this anti intellectual thing. Is there a place for it? Maybe, but not on Canada Reads, not when it comes to really talking about books that have something to say, I think. I
Yeah.
don't know if that
Okay.
makes sense. I don't know if that's really
Yeah.
answering yeah.
No.
No, yeah. Can I say, because I wrote this down, because I just took a few notes and then I stopped. But when they, right at the beginning, when he asked Morgan, they always do their little wrap up of like how things went or whatever, now that their book has been voted off. And she obviously talked about how important it was to get a romance to the day 3 and everything. And then she said, and I wrote it down verbatim, we have shifted something here for Canada Reads. And I thought, okay, that's that question of, because I think I'm pretty transparent about it. The reason I started following Canada Reads was I loved when I heard those first debates that first year, like 10 years ago. I was like, oh my God, these books sound amazing. Like it made me want to read every one of those books.
Yeah.
And I feel like I bring to it that I want to be challenged. And I understand that not everybody necessarily wants that in the same way. And so I realize that, but it diminishes for me if we don't have that meat and we don't have those kind of topics that I go, whoa, I'm excited to read this. I am going to learn something, or it's going to change my perspective on something. I want that. And if it shifts, then I will be still, I love Canada Reads, but if it shifted, I don't know that I would participate in the same way. Because this year, I didn't read the romance. I didn't read it last year, the year before, I think. I think I tried one year. I tried and I couldn't do it. But so for me, I hope that it works out because you can't have it both ways. You can't have that sort of literary fiction with genre in the same way because it just is so different. And Tara, you said something about then it makes the discussion. I can't remember how you worded it, but it does something to it. It's like a harder discussion because you've got two completely different things. I don't remember how you said it, but
Oh, I
something like
think
that.
that was you. Wasn't that you about the different types of fruit?
Well,
Or
I
was
did
it?
do the analogy of my app. Somebody, but
Yeah.
thank you, whoever it was that said they liked my analogy about the apples. I
Yeah.
appreciate because I thought it was not a good one.
It's true
But
though.
no, you said something else. I thought in a comment or something I read. But anyway, I feel like maybe it was in
Yeah.
Jolene's one or I don't know. I don't remember. But
Mhm.
anyway,
I can't remember.
yeah,
But
I don't know.
whatever.
And I mean, when I pick up a book, like so right now I would show it to you, but it's way over there. I'm reading Talk Treaty to Me. It's all about the treaties in Canada, the history of them, what they're all about, blah, 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 blah. When I sit down to read that book, I know that it's going to take a bit, like it takes brain power. I can't just sit
yeah.
down and read this and go, oh, isn't this a lovely read and turn that off. First of all, I'm learning something. I want to learn about treaties in Canada because I know absolutely very little. And I say to my students, like that, do you know about the treaties in Canada? No, we don't, but we talk about how important that they are, and we talk about, but we don't even know what they are. So how can we say that they're important, and how can we say that we should be paying more attention? So I'm trying to, learn myself. And so that's a very different book than me picking up. It's different this time, where I'm
Mhm.
like, I'm just going to sit and read this story and not have to think about anything. And there's a whole bunch of things in between, right? So I know when I sit down to read a certain type of book that, or a topic or something like that, that it's going to be a different experience. And I think that all of those experiences are valid. And like, reading a comic book or reading a graphic novel or and they can all teach me something. They can all be about hot topics. They can all have those things, but it's a different experience. And it does take a different part of the intellect, right?
Yeah.
So I think that for a program like Canada Reads, 25 years we've been talking about books. How wonderful is that? But we've been talking about books not just as books, but as what they can teach us, what they tell us about being Canadian, what it means to be Canadian. And I do think that that has shifted. I do think, and we should be seeing that in our literature, I would hope. But I think when Morgan was saying that she saw a shift, if she was referring to the romance genre, like, I don't know that I would say that that would be a positive necessarily. I'm not saying there shouldn't be romance. I'm saying I'm not sure that we should have that like 5 romance books or five. Like, I don't think that should be
Yeah.
the shift. I think the shift should be that they should always be books that we can have good conversations about and debates. I think we should be able to debate. And I don't think there was much debate in some of what she brought to the table.
Yeah.
I wonder if part of her, because that you mentioned that comment about a shift in Canada Reads, Rebecca, that she said that. I wonder if part of her motivation for bringing that particular book was to bring a book that doesn't have meat to make her point. I don't know. Does that make any sense? That
The
maybe
way
she
that,
wanted to
go
bring a
ahead. No,
book
say,
that's more entertainment than
that's
learning.
how I took it, because she was, the way
Yeah.
the way she was talking about, I brought this romance, I knew it was going to be hard, or whatever she said. And then that's that statement that she made.
Yeah.
And then I felt, oh, so you want to shift the way Canada Reads has operated in whatever way she meant that. And I feel that that's what she means, is maybe something that's, like she said, she doesn't always feel she has to learn something. Although I agree with you, you
Yeah.
can learn something from anything that you read.
Mhm,
But she
mhm.
said that, and so I thought maybe she wants it to be more, because if you think about it, she's a TikToker, right? And on
Mhm.
TikTok, it's the latest, hottest titles that everybody's buzzing about. That's what that does. And I mean, that's what she does on her platform. So maybe she wants to see it more like
Yeah.
the popular titles of the day in Canada. I don't know, but that's how I sort of took it, was that she sees that somehow her being there, getting to day 3, is a shift in Canada Reads.
Yeah,
That's how.
because
Yeah.
if I think about, I can only remember Meet Me at the Lake. I can't remember what the other romance was. But even though I had my own issues and thoughts about Meet Me at the
Midnight
Lake,
Bargain. It was Midnight Bargain,
Okay.
right?
oh, okay.
Yeah.
So even though I have my own thoughts about Meet Me at the Lake as a book, like there were things about it that annoyed me. If I look at it in terms of what it brought to the table for issues, like there were uh, mental health issues that were discussed that were in that book, right? That would obviously could be very meaty to bring for a discussion, but it was a romance and it didn't make it past day one. You know what I mean? Like I feel like the romances that have been brought in the past have attempted to bring like books that have more issues in them, like more meat to them. That because and I have read some romances that this was an American author, I can't remember the name, but dealt with health issues and the American medical system and stuff like that, which I was like, huh, did not expect to get that in a romance kind of thing. So it is weird to bring a romance that doesn't have issues with it. Like you said, for the debate reasons alone,
Yeah.
Jolene, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's so. I mean, I love reading books for entertainment.
Me too.
I
Me
think
too.
that's why I started when I first started reading romance a few years ago. I was pleasantly surprised, and there's a certain type of romance that I particularly like, and that's what I was trying to figure out. Like, is it just I don't like all romance, or is it just And then I found I kind of like the rom-commy romances if they're written well, and if
Hmm.
they're I like the witty banter back and forth. I love Abby Jimenez. Like, I love but she has themes in her books that are pretty heavy topics sometimes. And so I like that, so like there's this storyline, there's these good things, but um and it might make you like it's going to be a feel good ending.
Yeah.
But there's some stuff in there too, to make you think, or to maybe give you a new perspective on a topic. And so I'm like, that's good, but I read that for entertainment mostly. I read that to just sit down and enjoy a book and not have to think too much. So I think there's a time and place for that. But I think when it comes to something like Canada Reads, a national thing that we talk about books for 4 days, how awesome is that? That there needs to be something to talk about. It can't just be like, well, I found this entertaining. Well, I found this entertaining. Well, good for you.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so like, I think entertainment is important. Like, if you enjoy
Yeah.
the book, that's why enjoyability is part of my 4 criteria. But it's not the first thing. It's did you enjoy it? Because I can enjoy talk treaty to me, but that's a different enjoyability than it's different this time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, the entertainment level is different, and the intellectual power that you have to use to read them is very different.
Yeah.
So
Well, I
yeah.
think we probably should wrap it up, but because it's been an hour. However, I do want to bring up one thing that both of you talked about, which I
Yeah.
kind of had forgotten about, and I think we should end on this.
I'm sad about it. Yeah.
I know. No, no, no. It was the 25th
Yeah.
anniversary, and we didn't get anything.
I know, I'm very sad about it. I'm very
Nothing.
sad. No, the trailer that they put out had books from over the last 25 years, and it talked, it was just like this little clip. I think it's a minute and a half. Like, it's not very
Yeah.
long. But I mean, there wasn't even a mention of it today. There wasn't even
No.
a wow, like look at us wrapping up 25 years. There wasn't even a thanks for talking about, books for 25 years,
Yeah.
Canada. Let's do it for another 25. Like something. There was
No.
nothing. And I was like, oh,
Yeah. The only mention of a past like thing was Justin again, which I found interesting when they have the card at the end of the for the
yeah.
last vote, that they have the option to only vote against the other book. Like,
Yes,
so
because of
Steve could
Justin.
not vote for his book, and then they mentioned Justin. So I was like, oh, that's interesting that they do not give them the option. And oh yes, Justin. And that was it. You're
Yes.
right.
And I
Bummer.
mean, and
Bummer.
that whole Justin Trudeau thing where he voted against his book has been brought up several times throughout the
Yeah.
years. The poor
Yeah. We
guy.
didn't
I
need.
mean,
Yeah.
it's really gone down in history. I'm kind of like, hey, if you want to vote against your book, go for it. I'd give them the
Yeah.
option. I don't
I would
understand why they're
too.
not giving them the
I would
option.
too.
It's
I
voting.
agree.
I
You're
would too.
allowed to vote against your own book. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
however, yeah, like to me, that wasn't even like that was more of a fleeting
Throw away.
comment.
Yeah.
And I just, yeah, I was sad by the end and I kept thinking, oh, is there something more? And I kind of, no,
Yeah.
nothing. So
Oh, maybe we can ask Ali about that tomorrow.
I was
Where was our
disappointed.
celebration?
Making a note for that too. Maybe they
Yeah.
did it all behind scenes and we didn't get to see the big celebration, the big party they had. I don't know, but
Yeah.
like I said yesterday, as an American who we celebrate every freaking 5 years of whatever the heck it
Yeah.
is, I'm 25 years is significant. Like Canada reads, you blew it. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I love
Well,
this competition and you blew it.
I love it too. And I have a couple of thoughts about this. One is on the 6th year, they took the first five, and I mean, I get logistics, this might not work, but they could have done something over 25 years. On the 6th year of Canada Reads, they had the five previous winners come together and debate the books. And so it was like an all-star year kind of thing.
Yeah.
I thought, wouldn't that be cool if they had brought back five defenders, any five defenders throughout the
Yeah.
last 25 years, even if they weren't winners, so they would
Yeah.
have
Mark
5 times 25
Tewksbury.
people. Yeah, like 5 times 25, they'd have a lot of people to choose from that they
Yeah.
could potentially make it work. And so I thought that would be pretty cool. And then I thought, even if they just did we're going to take 30 seconds, like if they're, we're going
Yeah.
to take 30 seconds and look back at the first 5 years on the first day, the second 5 years, like whatever the case might be, but there was nothing. Instead, they showed those trailers every single freaking day.
Every day. And the
And I was
same
like,
preview, like before it started on YouTube, we got the
yes,
same preview of the previous 4 or 5 years. And I'm like, oh, like
yes.
missed opportunity.
I thought,
And
wow, like you're doing the same thing. Like,
yeah. And I will, in the first year I watched Canada Reads because I saw it the first day it came on, the first day one. And I watched it and I saw the little trailers or whatever. And I was like, okay, like I think I know what these books are. And then
yeah.
every day after that, I kept seeing them. And I thought, okay, I'm brand new and I get it. Like I don't
Yeah.
need it every day because I get it. But yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm very disappointed. I thought it was a huge missed opportunity to actually celebrate something that I think we're the only country that does
Yeah.
this in this
Yeah.
way. Like that we celebrate books. Let's celebrate them
For 4 days.
instead.
For 4 days. Yeah.
Yes.
And for 25 years, like how long?
That's huge.
Not many Canadian shows are on for 25 years. Let's be
No.
honest.
No. And the fact that it's about books and I just think it was a missed opportunity for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
It was.
Canada Reads, we still love you, but we're
We do.
disappointed.
Yeah. And now we begin counting down to 2027, right? And
Yeah.
I don't know why. I can't believe I just forgot the year, but yeah, 2027.
Well, Jolene, thank you so much for coming back again this year. And we told her beforehand, we're just going to assume that she's just going to keep coming back to do our Thursday program with us every year. And we love having you, and we love your program as well. We're going to put it in the show notes. Bookworm Adventure Girl, Jolene does an amazing analysis of every possible. I don't know how you do it. You come up with all these
Yeah.
ideas, and all the things you do are really, really amazing. And we recommend for, and I'm sure anybody who listens to us, they're totally listening to you as well. But check out Bookworm Adventure Girl, and thanks for being here with us.
Yeah.
Well, thank
Thank
you
you,
so much for
Jolene.
having me. Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be with you guys and talk Canada Reads.
Okay, now Terry, you have to say your line so we can end it.
Yes. Thank you for joining us, and happy